One day, the narrator received a letter from his good friend Roderick Usher. "Hello, good friend. I know we have not seen each other in a long time and haven't talked either. My sister and I have gotten illnesses that are affecting our daily lives. Would you be willing to come visit and give me some reassurance? Sincerely, Roderick Usher." In the middle of autumn, one of Roderick Usher's childhood friends was riding on horseback to the Usher house, examining the eerie characteristics of the Usher property. The narrator makes his way over to the house and noticed a crack running through the middle of the structure. On this day, I remembered the letter that I received from Mr. Usher. I knew he needed some help and thought today he could use me for some assistance. I am hoping he will still remember that he is expecting me to visit. The narrator roamed around the property and made his way to the entrance of the eerie house. He entered the house and was amazed. The narrator couldn't believe how creepy but aesthetically pleasing the architecture of the house was. While the narrator was still in awe, he made his way to find Roderick. When the narrator finds Roderick, he was lying upon his favorite couch. Roderick got up and is relieved that his old pal had come to visit him. Roderick and the narrator were talking about all the illnesses that the Usher family had been dealt with. Roderick and his sister have gotten more severe illnesses than the rest of the family. Roderick tells the narrator that all the physicians that have come and tried to help us have not had any success yet. After hearing this, the narrator was very concerned for the family. He knew he had to figure something out in order to help Mr. Usher with his problem. While the narrator and Roderick were in a deep conversation, Roderick's sister Madeline, who was very ill because of a disease, walked into the room. She didn't even give a glance at the two of them. The narrator was very confused about Madeline's behavior. Roderick knew that the day was going to come when Madeline was going to go to rest. He knew this day was fast approaching and didn't want it to happen, but he couldn't stop it. It was later that day when Madeline was not feeling well. She went to lay down and before long, she was gone. Roderick couldn't stop thinking of Madeline and decided to just take care of her body now. They grab her body and take her to the donjon, which is a place below the house that Roderick decided to bury Madeline. They put her in a coffin and concealed the lid. Roderick and the narrator then make their way back to ground level of the eerie house and don't talk to each other except a friendly good night when they make their way to bed. The next couple of days were hard for the narrator and especially for Roderick. They tried not to bring up Madeline, and most of the time they didn't bring her up in their conversations. It was very hard to do this, but somehow they pulled it off. That night, after the burial of Madeline, Roderick and the narrator were both awake because of a chaotic storm. They finally shut their eyes, but are both quickly awakened by the crashes of thunder, the strikes of lightning, and even the very heavy rain. There was so much wind that they could feel the house being shaken. During this stormy night, Roderick had his mind on Madeline. Roderick couldn't change his thinking to something else other than his sister. Before long, the narrator came in to help Roderick. The narrator knew that he needed to do something in order to calm Mr. Usher down. The narrator tries something to calm down Roderick. He grabbed a book to read to Roderick. This reading calms Roderick down a little, so the narrator keeps reading. After the narrator finishes the second book, Roderick gets up and looks out the window. What Roderick said next was very unexpected. "I can hear Madeline." After hearing those words from Roderick, the narrator was very confused. He then asked Roderick what did he mean by that statement. Then Roderick told him that he can hear Madeline's heartbeat and her breaking out of the coffin. The narrator thinks that Roderick is just trying to be funny. Roderick finally decided to tell his friend about those noises. Mr. Usher had heard the sounds during the day before, but didn't want to say anything. Once Roderick kept hearing those noises, he finally thought to himself that he needed to tell. A few minutes after Roderick had made that statement, Madeline entered the room, attacked Roderick, and then just watched him. Roderick got so scared of this and died because of fear. This was the final end of the Usher family. The narrator quickly escapes the house. It was raining outside, but that didn't affect the narrator from leaving the house. While the narrator was running away from the house of Usher, he heard this crackling. So he turned around, and behind he saw the whole mansion come tumbling down to the ground, right on top of Roderick and Madeline.